fine if you make a snarky video, because everybody's not gonna like me, and that's fine. I'm not the most likable person, and that's okay. But, you know, when they make snarky videos and they say things that are not true, and I'm like, okay, like, just let people be mad at me for who I actually am. Like, don't make up stories. Don't say I said things I didn't say. And oh wow, the internet is fun.
Okay, this is 110% not true. I actually think that Amber is a very likable character, and I did say this in my original video that I made about them, where I was talking about how they ended up in New York City, people's criticisms and concerns about her children busking, how I feel like they are putting all of their eggs into this social media basket. And then their kids are basically busking in order to fund their musical tuition. They detailed, you know, the dad, the husband, boyfriend, whoever, whatever, basically quitting their quite secure job to eventually end up down in New York. So obviously there's been a lot of, you know, hubbub about, you know, is what they're doing right? Is it not? I did say that I was very much on the fence with the whole thing, not necessarily the busking element. I do think that if there's elder kids with the younger kids, then yeah, it could be safe because some of their elder kids are like late teens. But the issue that I kind of had was I was a bit like, well, how do we know that all of this money is going directly back to the kids and their musical ventures? I mean, whatever. But what I did say is that Amber does seem like a very nice person, and beyond her kind of awkwardness and the way she presents herself on camera, which, let's be real, a lot of us are pretty bloody awkward on camera, I actually did say that it's a very conflicting one because she does actually seem to have quite a nice aura surrounding her, if you see what I mean. She's not like a lot of other family channel parents. She does seem quite genuine and quite sweet, and I was just a bit worried after finding out that her management is the same management that manage Doherty Dozen, and we all know, if you're familiar with that, what kind of crooks, you know, the Doherty Dozen management are. I did get a little bit worried. I was like, oh no, is she just extremely naive in all of this? Anyway, so as it turns out, I watched a video where she was saying that she's doing a part on, is it ABC Nightline? Is that what it's called? We do not have that here. That is an American is it like a late night show, that kind of thing? We don't have that over here. And I was just really interested just to hear what she had to say about it. She has been replying to quite a few people over on TikTok, and they do get a fair amount of, not hate, I'd say criticism, because a lot of people just, like myself included, at points where I haven't quite understood this whole, you know, making your kids bust for money, but I suppose, you know, I just don't understand it like that. For example, someone said, can't wait for these kids to spill the tea in a couple of years. And someone else said, that's TLC, Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Eyewitness News special. It's going to be amazing. And Amber basically replied saying, well, you won't have to wait long. We're going to be on Nightline in June, I think. So obviously, I reckon Amber isn't stupid. I don't think she's stupid. She blatantly knows what people are getting at. A lot of people do have quite a big issue with just how they make their money. It really is as simple as that. It's not just the busking, it's just genuinely how they live their lives. They live in an extremely expensive part of New York. I mean, as much as I'm aware, New York is a very expensive place to live. They've said that where they live is extremely expensive, and they basically managed to fund where they live just through their social media. And then the kids busking basically helps them with their music. It's something they're really, really interested in. I cannot talk today. But then again, people then have a lot of criticism saying, well, how come you've got so many kids? And how come they're all really heavily into the same thing, and people just can't understand it? And that's not to say that there is anything malicious going on with, you know, like Amber, like behind the scenes. What I'll always think is I think no matter what way you want to look at it, the kids have to earn money through busking to fund what they want to do. And then how their parents make money is by vlogging them and vlogging them busking and just how they're able to survive where they are in New York, being this like homeschooling, busking, making ends meet family. And my concerns was very much just how much their kids being worked in all of this. That was my main concern. But anyway, they are now appearing on ABC Nightline. And this is interesting. Has Alicia ever been featured on anything like that? I believe she was featured on something about foster and adoption, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I know that the Happy Caravan lot are a very, interesting family for sure to be covering, to be filming. I can understand the appeal there.
Amber from Happy Caravan. I'm a mom of 10 kids and we live in New York City. And I'm going to show you what we eat in a week. Sometimes people in New York City go to fancy restaurants. We are the fancy restaurant because we're on a budget.
Said, oh yeah, child labour. And Amber said, because staying at home playing video games is a much better use of time than earning money for music lessons. And then she then goes on to basically explain that busking has been a long tradition. And hey, like I know that out here in the UK, busking is just, you see it everywhere in loads of little towns and big cities. You see them everywhere. I know it's pretty commonplace to see. I know it's obviously some people get a bit weirded out if they see children do it. I have personally seen, like mother and like parent and child duos have gone on. I've just never ever heard of sets of siblings ranging from young ages to older ages performing to earn money, not really knowing where the money goes. Anyway, that's just my own 2 cents on it, but I do understand where she's coming from. But I don't think you can't really compare it. I feel like, also you can make money from staying at home playing video games. Maybe she doesn't realise this or not, but I don't really think that's I get where she's coming from, but I don't think that's very fair. Just because, her children like the arts, like musical, doesn't mean that someone is necessarily wasting their time playing video games, if you see what I mean. Plus also nowadays video games is a very lucrative business, but maybe she just doesn't know that. With like Twitch and even YouTube, you just have loads of people streaming and make a lot of money off of it. So I kind of feel like maybe it's a little bit more lucrative than literally busking, but I suppose it depends who's walking past you that day.
Mom of 10 kids and we live in New York City. I think we get to be on Nightline, ABC's Nightline, sometime in June. They did like a little story about us, so that's really exciting. I think so, because like with the news, celebrities take priority. So if like some celebrity does something really interesting or newsworthy, they may bump us off, but that's the plan.
Now Amber would be extremely happy about this, because Amber actually told us in this little sit down that she did. I covered this in my very first video I ever did about them. She said that they were approached for a show, and unfortunately basically money wasn't being put into streaming services, so they then stopped doing that. And then they ended up being approached by Sun Sky Entertainment, who is Doherty Dozen Management, to do to basically manage them. These guys, along with the Doherty Dozen and, dare I say it, this Mad Mama, have always made it seem as if they are after some sort of a show. I mean, I remember Alicia saying that she wanted a show, but they weren't interesting enough. And I feel like the Happy Caravan, their backstory is quite interesting. But like I said in my very first video, I feel like because they very obviously are kind of pining after that, I feel like they just want to get noticed by anyone. And they don't really mind, like they're not really thinking about it from the children's element. I think they just want to be noticed. They want their own show. They want the popularity.
Really fun to be part of a news program, because it's like there's actually a producer, and when I'm making videos I'm somewhat unprofessional. So it was fun to like have a producer be like, come in this way, or let's do that. And I'm not quite sure, different things show up online, and like, producers and various media companies are like, oh, that's interesting, or that's interesting, and they kind of want to do a story about it. I'm not sure what it was that they saw, but
if I had to hazard a guess, it would probably be to do with the busking and the TikTok commotion over the busking, or just the TikTok commotion over what is going on, and the fact that you guys just seem like an interesting family, especially from like a TV series standpoint, especially their whole story, whether you agree with it or not.
Hi, welcome to season 2 of 7 of my kids audition for Juilliard.
Wow, it is so interesting that all your kids were interested in music and no one had any other dreams that they wanted to do.
I'm sure your kids are totally fine taking the subway by themselves, considering that you make them busk for money on subway platforms and on the street. Have you ever been like, oh, I wonder how this family of 12 affords to live in New York City? Yeah, they're making their kids play for money on the street. That's how. Bro, they were doing their shit when they lived in San Francisco too. Like, they make money off of making their kids beg for money, basically. Like, street performing is not just like some fun, chill, cool gig for a child. Like, you're making them go on street corners and play music for money. And you force them all to play music. I'm a musician myself, but you force all these children from birth to be musicians. And then you force them to make you money so you can live in New York and sometimes Juilliard.
I don't know what will make the cut or not, but she did, like, she sang with the kids. It was really cool. So I did take a little bit of footage of the day. I was so tired. The night before, I could not sleep. Maybe a half hour of sleep. And I don't know if I was nervous about the day working out. People make like snarky videos about it.
I'm just saying, and I hate to say this because I feel like every commentary channel does this, but if she's literally saying that she's losing sleep because she's afraid of what people will say, making snarky videos, a lot of people's videos to do with anything to do with whenever there are children involved is usually a place of concern. And if she's literally like not able to sleep because of it, you gotta toughen up, Amber. Toughen up, because honestly, especially if you bring kids into it, it's gonna be a long road. It's gonna be a long road of controversial things, and people will have their thoughts and feelings on it. And that's just the way it is. And sometimes some of those comments are not very nice. Sometimes they're meant in constructive context, but unfortunately, because they do live quite a interesting lifestyle, it's very unique, it's very different, she's going to have a lot of mixed feelings. And if she wants to be a part of this, and she wants a TV show, and she wants to do all of this, and she is hell-bent on this lifestyle, which she is, I mean, they don't work, they literally vlog, they're putting all their eggs into this basket, you got to make sure that this is actually what you want to do.
And I'm like, I'm fine if you make a snarky video, because everybody's not gonna like me, and that's fine. I'm not the most likable person, and that's okay. But, you know, when they make snarky videos and they say things that are not true, and I'm like, okay, like, just let people be mad at me for who I actually am. Like, don't make up stories, don't say I said things I didn't say, and oh wow, the internet is fun.
I feel like when content creators bounce back at snark channels, they need to start being really quite specific on who they're talking about, because of course she's talking about it, she just had the little text up saying across all platforms. She has a lot of people calling her out on TikTok. I believe a couple of people have spoken about her over here. And I just feel like, just to be helpful, from a helpful standpoint, I'm pretty sure I've never said anything that isn't untrue. I've just gone based off of, you know, I've reacted to content. I've reacted to content she's done. I've reacted to content that other people have made. I've put some of my own thoughts and feelings on it. I'm just delivering other people's content and commenting on it, yeah? But I just feel that not every channel does things exactly the same, and I don't know, to put everyone into one great big basket and just label everything as hate is just being quite dismissive over what people are trying to get at, people's concerns. But I do understand that you're going to have some people who are just like downright nasty. And I'm not just talking about content creators, I'm talking about people in comment sections. So I do understand that, of course.
That was part of what was keeping me up. Plus, it's like you kind of are like, okay, what are they going to ask? How should I answer? You know, and so I had this problem, like, I'll go to sleep and I'll be like, oh, I'm sleeping. And then I'll wake up and my brain is like on, like so on, I can't turn it off. I'm smarter when I'm trying to go to sleep than when I'm actually awake. My mind is like constantly like having conversations, answering questions, you know, like responding to comments, like all these things that I can't do very well when I'm awake, but when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'm very lucid. So I almost feel like I should vlog while in bed. because my mind is so active.
Well, I mean, like, I do actually find her character quite likable. I don't think it's necessarily her character people have an issue with. It's just people are confused. I'm confused. I don't know. I do feel like it's quite telling how she's saying, you know, I'm nervous about it and I can't sleep properly and I'm wondering what other people are going to say and what the show producer people are going to ask me and all this kind of stuff. How are they going to portray it? But if you're an older kid, you might also have those concerns as well. But I feel like she's not really, maybe she is thinking about that. But if I was an older teen or whatever, I'd be a little bit like, oh, wow, okay, I'm being put on the spot here. Like, do all of her kids want this? Do they want to be signed up to management? Do they want to be signed up to being on a show? I don't know. I feel like family channel shows just shouldn't really be a thing. That's just my own thoughts and feelings. Especially as, what, she have 10 kids? At least one of them is going to have the reservations about all of this. Like, how can you go from, you know, wanting to do music, wanting to do orchestra, or whatever they do, I'm not a very musical person, to then being a part of a family channel show on TV? Like, is it all about the music or is it just about the fact that they just wanted to become famous? And that, I think, that is my main point whenever I talk about this family. It's not to do with, it's really just to do with that. I'm trying to work out what their motives are and I'm just not that convinced. And, you know, if it is about wanting fame, wanting money, wanting this and that, then okay. But I find it quite hard to believe that so many kids would want to do the same thing and would be up for being in the spotlight so much. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I've got for you. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm sorry about the voiceover. I'm still down in Devon, so it's just going to be a bit like this. But I hope you guys can understand. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.